The morning sun shone through the massive windows of Kepler Station. The space station hung in orbit around a bright blue star. It was the home of the Galactic Military Academy. This was where the best young fighters from across the galaxy came. To learn about War, Captain Jake Morrison walked down the long hallway. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. He was new to this place. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 6 months ago. Now they were sending their first group of cadets to train here. Jake stopped at a large door marked Simulation Chamber 1. Through the glass window, he could see alien cadets working at control panels. Their movements were careful and slow. They had been at this for hours. Still watching the Nexus War simulation? Asked a voice behind him. Jake turned around. It was Commander Vextal, a tall alien with blue skin and forearms. His species was called the Zephyrians. They were known for being very smart at war planning. Yes, Jake said. How long have they been at it? 3 days now, Vextal replied. They are trying to break my record. I completed the simulation in 10 years, 3 months, and 17 days. Jake's eyes went wide. 10 years? In a simulation? Vextal nodded. The Nexus War simulation is not like your Earth War games. It covers an entire galaxy. There are hundreds of star systems, millions of ships, billions of soldiers. It is the most complex military challenge ever created. Through the window, Jake watched the cadets. There were 3 of them working together. One was a saurian, a reptile-like being with thick scales. Another was a Vorthan, whose body seemed to be made of living crystal. The third was an Ixari, a ghostly figure that seemed to glow with soft light. Each species brings their own way of fighting, Vextal explained. The Saurians like to build strong defenses. They move slowly, but never give up ground. The Vorthans use technology. They research better weapons and ships. The Nexari work together, using their mind powers. Jake nodded. And what about humans? What is our way of fighting? Vextal was quiet for a moment. That is what we are here to find out. They walked away from the simulation chamber. The hallway was full of alien cadets. Some were tall and thin. Others were short and wide. A few floated in the air instead of walking. All of them wore the same gray uniform of the academy. Tell me about these human cadets, Vextal said as they walked. Jake pulled out a datapad. There are 5 of them. Danny Cooper used to be a Marine. He knows about fighting in cities. Lisa Brooks was in the Navy. She understands ships and space battles. Ryan Hayes was a pilot. He is very fast at making decisions. Corinne White is an engineer. She knows how to build things quickly. Alex Turner worked in intelligence. He is good at finding patterns and secrets. Interesting, Vextal said. Most cadets specialize in one area. Your humans seem to know many different things. They entered a large room called the Academy Hall. It was filled with tables where cadets ate their meals. The ceiling was high and covered with stars. It made the room feel like they were floating in space. Admiral Keffer stood at the front of the room. He was from the Centauri Collective. His people looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin. He was the leader of the Academy. Attention, cadets, the Admiral said. His voice was calm but strong. Today, we welcome 5 new students from Earth. They will be attempting the Nexus War simulation. A wave of whispers went through the room. Many of the alien cadets turned to look at the humans. Jake could see the 5 Earth cadets sitting at a table near the back. They looked small compared to some of the aliens around them. As you know, the Admiral continued, the current record is held by Commander Vextal. His brilliant strategy of resource management and careful planning led to victory in just over 10 years. We will see if our new cadets can match this achievement. One of the Saurian cadets raised his hand. Admiral, Is it true that humans come from a death world? The Admiral nodded. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. The environment there is extremely dangerous. High gravity, violent weather, predators everywhere. Only the strongest species survive on such planets. But they look so weak, said a Vorthan cadet. Her crystal body sparkled as she spoke. How can beings from a death world be so small? Jake wanted to answer, but he stayed quiet. He knew these aliens would learn soon enough. Strength comes in many forms, the Admiral said. We will discover what kind of warriors humanity has produced. The human cadets finished their meal and stood up. Jake watched them as they walked toward the simulation chamber. Danny Cooper was of average height with dark hair. He moved like a soldier, alert and ready. Lisa Brooks was smaller, but her eyes were sharp. She studied everything around her. Ryan Hayes was tall and thin. His movements were quick and smooth. Corinne White had red hair and strong hands. She looked at the station's walls and ceiling like she was planning how to build something. Alex Turner was quiet. He watched the other cadets and seemed to be thinking about something. They do not look like much, said an Exari cadet, the ghostly being floated near Jake. Are you sure they are from a death world? Jake smiled. Looks can be deceiving. On Earth, we have a saying, it is not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. The alien cadet looked confused. I do not understand. You will, Jake said. The human cadets reached the simulation chamber. Other cadets gathered around to watch. Word was spreading through the academy. The Deathworlders were about to attempt the great challenge. Admiral Kethver opened the chamber door. Cadets Cooper, Brooks, Hayes, White, and Turner, you may enter when ready. The 5 humans looked at each other. They did not speak, but Jake could see something pass between them. It was like they were having a conversation without words. We are ready, sir, Danny said. Very well. The simulation will begin in 5 minutes. Remember, this is not just a test of military skill. It is a test of patience, planning, and wisdom. The galaxy's greatest minds have struggled with this challenge for decades. The humans entered the chamber. The door closed behind them. Through the window, Jake could see them taking their positions at the control panels. The screens around them lit up with stars and planets. 10 years, Bextall said quietly. That is how long it took me. I wonder how long it will take them. Jake watched the humans begin their work. Something told him that these aliens were about to learn something new about warfare, something that only a death world could teach. The simulation chamber was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. The 5 human cadets stood before a massive display that showed the entire galaxy. Millions of stars dotted the screen. Each one could contain planets, fleets, and armies. This is bigger than anything we trained for on Earth, Lisa said softly. She touched the screen and zoomed in on a star system. Dozens of planets appeared, each with different colored markers. Look at these numbers, Alex said from his station. Data flowed across his screen like a waterfall. The Hegemony Alliance has 847 star systems. The Rebel Coalition has 623. There are over 50,000 ships on each side. Danny whistled low. And millions of troops. This is not a battle. This is a war across the entire galaxy. Karen studied the technical details. Each side has different types of ships. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, fighters. And look at this. She pointed to another screen. They have to manage resources too. Food, fuel, weapons, raw materials. Ryan was looking at the tactical display. The previous cadets tried to fight this like a normal war. Build up forces. Take territory. Hold defensive lines. No wonder it took them years. The chamber door opened. Commander Vextall entered with a datapad. I brought you the records of previous attempts. You may find them helpful. Thank you, sir, Danny said. He took the pad, and the humans gathered around it. The first record showed the Saurian approach. They had built massive fortress worlds in key star systems. Their strategy was to make each planet so strong that the enemy could not take it. They moved slowly from system to system, never retreating. They spent 2 years just building defenses, Lisa noted. Look at all these supply lines. They had to protect thousands of cargo ships. The second record was from the Vorthans. They had focused on research and technology. They built better weapons, faster ships, and stronger shields. Their war was about having the best equipment. 14 years, Ryan said. They spent most of that time researching. They only started fighting in the last 4 years. The third record came from the Nexari. They had used their mental powers to coordinate their forces perfectly. Every ship moved like part of a single mind. Their battles were like deadly dances. In space, beautiful, Karen said, watching the battle recordings. But they were too careful. They never took big risks. Alex was studying Vextal's record-breaking attempt. Commander, can you explain your strategy? Vextal's forearms moved as he spoke. I realized that this war could not be won quickly. So I planned for a long campaign. I built the strongest economy. I trained the best officers. I made sure my supply lines could never be broken. Then I slowly pushed the enemy back, system by system. You starved them out, Danny said. Exactly. I made it impossible for them to keep fighting. They surrendered when they ran out of resources. The humans looked at each other. Jake Morrison watched them through the window. He could see something in their faces. They were not impressed by the 10-year record. They looked like they thought it was too slow. Commander, Alex said, what are the victory conditions? You must either capture the enemy's capital world or force them to surrender, Vextal replied. Surrender happens when they lose the will to fight. And the enemy AI, Lisa asked, how does it think? It follows the same patterns as the great military minds who programmed it. It builds balanced forces. It defends important systems. It tries to win through superior tactics and strategy. Karen was studying the industrial systems. Sir, who controls the civilian populations? Vextal looked confused. The civilians? They are not part of the military simulation, but they are still there, Ryan said. The planets have cities. The systems show population numbers. Yes, but they are just background. They provide resources. And workers. Most cadets ignore them. The humans exchanged glances again. Alex pulled up the political structure of both sides. What about the governments? How do they make decisions? Each side has a Senate that votes on military actions. They usually support whatever the military commanders want. Usually? Danny asked. Well, sometimes they argue about resources or strategy, but it rarely affects the simulation. Lisa was looking at the supply network display. These shipping lanes carry everything from food to ammunition. What happens if they get attacked? Most cadets avoid attacking civilian targets, Vextal said. It is not considered honorable warfare. The humans went quiet. They turned back to their stations and began studying the simulation more carefully. Jake could see them pointing at different parts of the display and talking in low voices. What do you think they are planning? Asked Admiral Kethver. He had entered the observation area with several other instructors. I am not sure, Vextal replied. They are asking questions that other cadets never ask. They seem interested in things that are not directly military. Dr. Zara, a Nexari instructor, floated closer to the window. Their minds are hard to read. They think in patterns I do not recognize. Through the speakers, they could hear the humans talking. Look at this, Alex was saying. The Hegemony Alliance has 3 major industrial worlds, but they are spread. far apart. The shipping routes between them are long and hard to protect. And here, Coran added, their main fleet base is in the Proxima system. But their government is on Centauri Prime. That is 12 light years away. The enemy AI follows standard military doctrine, Ryan observed. It keeps its fleets together. It fights fair battles. It protects its important systems. But what? If we do not fight fair? Danny asked. Lisa pulled up a star map. What if we do not try to beat their military? What if we make their military useless? The instructors outside looked at each other. These humans were thinking about the simulation in a completely different way. Sir, one of the younger instructors said, should we stop them? They seemed to be planning something unusual. Admiral Kethver shook his head. Let them proceed. We want to see what Deathworld tactics look like. Inside the chamber, the humans were dividing up responsibilities. Danny would handle ground operations. Lisa would command the space fleet. Ryan would coordinate fighter squadrons. Karen would manage engineering and construction. Alex would run intelligence and information warfare. Remember, Danny said, we are not here to fight a 10-year war. We are here to win quickly. How quickly? Lisa asked. Alex looked at the simulation timer. It showed 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. Give me 1 hour, he said. I can end this war in 1 hour. The other humans looked at him. Their expressions were serious. Are you sure? Karen asked. I am sure. But we have to be willing to do things that these aliens would never do. What do you mean? Ryan asked. Alex pointed to the display showing civilian populations. We have to fight the war they do not want to fight. We have to break their rules. Danny nodded slowly. Total war. Total war, Alex confirmed. The humans took their positions. At the control panels, the simulation was about to begin. But they were not planning to fight the same kind of war that had taken other cadets years to complete. They were planning to fight like humans. And that was something the galaxy had never seen before. The simulation began with a soft chime. The galaxy display came alive with moving ships and flashing lights. The war between the Hegemony Alliance and the Rebel Coalition had started. Most cadets would spend their first few hours studying the situation. They would count ships, measure distances, and plan their opening moves. The humans did something different. Alex, what do you see? Danny asked. Alex's fingers flew across his keyboard. Intelligence reports flooded his screen. The Hegemony Alliance has a problem. Their government is split into 3 factions. The Military Council wants to fight. The Economic Senate wants to negotiate. The Outer Rim governors want independence. Political weakness, Lisa noted. Can we use it? Already working on it, Alex replied. I am sending agents to make the divisions worse. If we can get them fighting each other, they cannot fight us. Karen was building something on her engineering display. I am not making battleships. I am making fast construction ships. We can build bases anywhere we want. Smart, Ryan said. I am splitting our fighters into small groups. Instead of big squadrons, I have teams of 4 or 5 ships. They can hit targets and disappear. Danny was studying the ground forces. Look at this. The enemy has big armies on their major worlds, but they have small garrisons everywhere else. If we avoid the big armies and hit the small ones, we can take lots of territory quickly. The instructors watching outside were confused. Usually, cadets would mass their forces and attack the strongest enemy positions. These humans were doing the opposite. They are avoiding the enemy's main fleet, Commander Vextal observed. That is not how you win a war. Maybe they know something. We do not, Admiral Kethver said. Inside the chamber, the humans were moving fast. Their ships spread out across the galaxy like water flowing into every crack. Instead of fighting big battles, they were fighting hundreds of small ones. First targets are supply ships, Lisa announced. Her small fleets attacked cargo vessels, carrying food and fuel. No supplies, no war. Ryan's fighter groups hit communication stations. If they cannot talk to each other, they cannot coordinate. Karen's construction crews built hidden bases in asteroid fields and on dead planets. We need safe places to repair and refuel. The enemy will never look for us here. Danny's ground forces landed on lightly defended worlds. But instead of conquering them, they trained local rebels. Why occupy a planet when you can make it rebel? Alex coordinated everything from his intelligence center. The hegemony just lost contact with 12 systems. Their economic senate is demanding to know why the military cannot protect trade routes. The enemy AI tried to respond to the attacks. It sent fleets to protect the supply lines. But the human ships were already gone when they arrived. It reinforced the communication stations. But the humans had already destroyed them and moved on. They are like ghosts, Dr. Zara whispered. They attack and vanish. This is not honorable combat, said Professor Kren, a Saurian instructor. They are not facing the enemy directly. No, Admiral Kethver said slowly, but it is effective. The simulation showed the results of the human strategy. The hegemony. Alliance was losing ships and territory, but not through big battles. They were bleeding to death from 1,000 small cuts. Enemy morale is dropping, Alex reported. Their Senate is arguing about whether to continue the war. The Outer Rim governors are talking about joining the rebellion. Perfect, Danny said. Lisa, are you ready for Phase 2? Ready, Lisa replied. All ships in position. Karen, what about the special packages? Delivered and armed, Karen said with a smile. The enemy has no idea what is coming. Ryan, how are our fighters? Tired but ready. We have been hitting them for 6 hours straight. They do not know where we will strike next. The simulation. Timer showed 0 hours 23 minutes and 47 seconds. They had been fighting for less than 24 minutes. Begin Phase 2. Danny ordered. Suddenly, the human strategy changed. Instead of small raids, they launched coordinated strikes on key targets. But these were not military targets. They were hitting power plants, factories, and government buildings. They are attacking civilians, Professor Kren said, shocked. No, Alex corrected through the speakers. We are attacking the infrastructure that supports their military. No power, no weapon factories, no new ships, no government buildings, no way to coordinate the war effort. The Hegemony Alliance tried to respond, but their forces were scattered. They had been chasing human raiders for hours. Their ships were out of position and low on fuel. Brilliant, Commander Vextal said quietly. They made the enemy react to them. Now the enemy cannot react to anything. Karen's special packages revealed themselves. They were not weapons. They were communication devices hidden on enemy worlds. I have been listening to their military communications, she announced. I know where every ship is going. The enemy AI, programmed to fight fair battles, could not handle this new kind of warfare. It tried to protect everything at once. But the humans were not trying to hold territory. They were trying to break the enemy's ability to fight. Enemy fleet moving to protect their capital, Lisa reported. Just like we expected. All forces, execute final phase, Annie ordered. The human fleet, which had been scattered across the galaxy, suddenly came together, but not where the enemy expected. Instead of attacking the capital, they hit the 3 major industrial worlds that Alex had identified at the beginning. Those worlds make 70% of their military equipment, Alex explained. Without them, the war is over. The attack was devastating. The enemy had pulled their fleets away to protect the capital. The industrial worlds were defended by only a few ships. The humans destroyed the factories, the shipyards, and the supply depots. Enemy industrial capacity reduced by 80%, Karen reported. They cannot build new ships or repair damaged ones. At the same time, Ryan's fighters were hitting the enemy's main fleet from behind. They did not try to destroy the big ships. Instead, they targeted engines, weapons, and communications. Enemy fleet is crippled, Ryan announced. They can barely move, let alone fight. The final blow came from an unexpected source. The civilian populations that other cadets had ignored were rebelling. Alex's intelligence network had been working on them for the entire battle. 17 worlds have declared independence, Alex reported. The Outer Rim governors are joining the rebellion. The Economic Senate has voted to end the war. The simulation timer showed 0 hours 47 minutes and 23 seconds. Less than 50 minutes had passed. This is impossible, Commander Vextal said. The enemy still has thousands of ships that cannot move, cannot fight, and cannot be repaired, Lisa replied. What good are they? The Hegemony Alliance was collapsing. Their government was split. Their industry was destroyed. Their military was scattered and broken. Their people were in revolt. They have no choice but to surrender, Alex said. We have not just beaten their military. We have destroyed their ability to make war. The alien instructor stared at the display in shock. The simulation that had taken the greatest military minds years to complete was about to end in less than an hour. How? Dr. Zara asked. How is this possible? Danny looked up from his console. Because we did not try to fight their kind of war. We fought our kind of war. The surrender message appeared on the screen. The Hegemony Alliance was giving up. The simulation was over. The timer showed 0 hours 47 minutes and 23 seconds. The humans had shattered a 10-year record in under 48 minutes. The simulation chamber fell silent. The galaxy display showed the final results in bright letters. Rebel Coalition victory time, 0 hours 47 minutes and 23 seconds. Commander Vextal stood frozen. His record of 10 years, 3 months, and 17 days had been destroyed. In less than an hour. The other instructors stared at the humans like they were looking at aliens from another universe. Run the verification check, Admiral Kethver said quietly. Dr. Zara's ghostly phone flickered as she accessed the simulation computers. All parameters are within normal limits. No cheating detected. The victory is legitimate. But how? Professor, Kren asked. His scaled hands shook as he held his datapad. The simulation was designed by the greatest military minds in the galaxy. It should be impossible to win so quickly. Alex Turner looked up from his control station. That was your first mistake. You designed it to be won by great military minds. We are not great military minds. We are survivors. Danny Cooper stood and stretched. You created a simulation based on how civilized species fight wars. We fought it like humans fight wars. What is the difference? Commander Vextal asked. You fight to win battles, Lisa Brooks replied. We fight to survive. There is a big difference. The chamber door opened. More instructors and advanced cadets crowded in to see the results. Word was spreading through the academy. The Deathworlders had done something impossible. Explain your strategy, Admiral Kethver ordered. Ryan Hayes pointed to the tactical display. You all made the same mistake. You thought this was a military simulation. It was not. It was a political simulation with military pieces. I do not understand, said a Vorthan instructor. Karen White pulled up the economic data. Look at these numbers. The Hegemony Alliance was not defeated by superior firepower. They were defeated by economic collapse. Their government fell apart. There. People rebelled. Their industry was destroyed. But that is not how wars are fought, Professor Kren protested. That is not how your wars are fought, Danny corrected. On Earth, we learned that wars are not won by armies alone. They are won by breaking the enemy's will to fight. Alex brought up his intelligence reports. The simulation's AI was programmed to respond to military threats. It was not programmed to handle political warfare, economic sabotage, or civilian uprisings. Those are not honorable tactics, said a Nexari cadet who had been watching. Honor does not matter when you are fighting. For survival, Lisa replied. On Earth, we learned that the only honorable war is a short war. Commander Vextal studied the battle logs. You ignored the enemy's main fleet. You avoided their strongest positions. You attacked targets that seemed unimportant. We attacked targets that supported their ability to fight, Ryan explained. Their main fleet was powerful, but useless without fuel, repairs, and orders. We took away all three. But how did you know this would work? Dr. Zara asked. Because we studied your previous attempts, Alex said. Every cadet who tried this simulation made the same mistakes. They fought the enemy's strengths instead of exploiting their weaknesses. Karen pulled up the infrastructure display. Look at the Hegemony Alliance's supply network. It was designed for efficiency, not security. A few attacks in the right places brought down the entire system. The enemy AI could not adapt, Danny added. It was programmed to fight conventional wars. When we used unconventional tactics, it could not respond properly. Admiral Kethvar was studying the civilian uprising data. How did you turn the population against their own government? We gave them a reason to rebel, Alex replied. The Hegemony Alliance was already unpopular. We just showed the people that their government could not protect them. By attacking civilian targets, Professor Kren said accusingly. By attacking infrastructure, Lisa corrected. We never killed civilians. We just made their lives harder and made sure they knew who was responsible. Their own government, Ryan added. A government that started a war it could not win. The alien instructors exchanged worried glances. These humans were describing a type of warfare that their species had never imagined. This is total war. Commander Vextal said slowly. You did not just fight their military. You fought their entire civilization. Exactly, Danny said. On Earth, we learned that half measures do not work. If you are going to fight a war, you must be willing to. Do what it takes to end it quickly. But what about the rules of war? Asked a young Saurian cadet. What about protecting civilians? We protected them better than their own government did, Karen replied. We ended the war in 47 minutes. How many civilians died in Commander Vextal's 10-year campaign? Vextal checked his records. Approximately 50 million. How many died in our campaign? Alex asked. The simulation computer processed the question. Approximately 12,000. We saved millions of lives by ending the war quickly, Lisa said. That is the most moral thing you can do in war. More cadets had gathered outside the chamber. They pressed against the windows, trying to understand how the humans had achieved the impossible. Show us the replay, Admiral Kethva ordered. The main display showed the entire battle in fast motion. The human ships moved like a swarm of insects, hitting targets across the galaxy. The enemy fleets chased shadows, while their civilization crumbled behind them. They are everywhere at once, whispered a Vorthan cadet. No, Commander Vextal said. They are nowhere. They never stay in one place long enough to be attacked. Guerrilla warfare, Danny explained. Hit fast, hit hard, and disappear before the enemy can respond. But the simulation was not designed for this type of fighting, Dr. Zara protested. That is why it worked, Ryan said. The AI was programmed to fight fair battles with clear rules. We ignored the rules. You broke the simulation, Professor Kryn accused. No, Alex said calmly. We broke your understanding of war. The replay showed the final moments of the battle. The Hegemony Alliance's surrender came not from military defeat, but from complete systemic collapse. Their government was gone. Their economy was destroyed. Their military was scattered and useless. This changes everything, Admiral Kethver said quietly. What do you mean? Asked Commander Vextel. If humans can do this to a simulation, what can they do to real enemies? What happens when other species learn these tactics? The chamber fell. Silent. The implications were staggering. For thousands of years, galactic warfare had followed established patterns. Civilized species fought civilized wars with agreed-upon rules. The humans had just proved that those rules were weaknesses. We need to study this, Dr. Zara said. We need to understand how they think. More than that, Admiral Kethver replied. We need to change how we think. The humans have shown us that our entire military doctrine is flawed. Danny looked around at the alien faces. This is not just about tactics. This is about survival. On Earth, we learned that the universe does not care about fair fights. It only cares about who survives. Is that what makes you different? Commander Vextal asked. Your willingness to break the rules? No, Lisa said. What makes us different is that we never accepted the rules in the first place. We fight to win, not to look good while losing. The simulation chamber's door opened. Captain Jake Morrison entered with a smile on his face. Well done, he said to the human cadets. You just gave the galaxy its first lesson in human warfare. What happens now? Alex asked. Jake looked at the crowd of alien instructors and cadets. Now the real war begins. The war to understand what humanity brings to the galaxy. The humans had broken more than just a simulation record. They had broken the galaxy's understanding of war itself. And that was only the beginning. The Academy Hall was packed with cadets and instructors. News of the human victory had spread through the entire station. Everyone wanted to see the Deathworlders who had shattered the impossible record. Admiral Kethver stood at the front of the room. Behind him, the large display showed the final results. Nexus War Simulation Victory. Time, 0 hours 47 minutes and 23 seconds. Previous record, 10 years, 3 months, 17 days. In the history of this academy, the Admiral began, we have never seen anything like what happened today. 5 human cadets have not just broken our record. They have redefined what we thought was possible. The crowd murmured with excitement and confusion. Many of the alien cadets still could not believe what they had witnessed. Commander Vextal stood up. I have held the record for 15 years. I was proud of my achievement. But today, I learned that I was thinking too small. The humans did not just beat my time. They showed me that I was fighting the wrong war. He walked over to the human cadets. You did not try to be better soldiers. You tried to be better survivors. There is a difference I never understood before today. Danny Cooper shook the alien commander's hand. Sir, your strategy was brilliant for the kind of war you are fighting. But we fought a different kind of war. Explain it to us, called out a Saurian cadet from the back. How did you do it? Alex Turner stood up. We looked at the simulation differently. You all saw it as a military exercise. We saw it as a problem to be solved. The problem was not how to win battles, Lisa Brooks added. The problem was how to make the enemy stop fighting. Every species here has their own way of fighting, Ryan Hayes said. The Saurians build strong defenses. The Vorthans use superior technology. The Nexari coordinate perfectly. All good strategies. But they all assume the enemy will fight the same way, Corinne White continued. They assume the war will be fair. They assume both sides will follow the same rules. We assumed nothing, Danny said. We looked for weaknesses and exploited them. We did not care about fair fights. We cared about ending the war quickly. Dr. Zara floated forward. But how did you know these tactics would work? Earth has never fought a galactic war. No, Alex replied. But Earth has fought many wars. We learned from all of them. On Earth, we have a saying, Lisa said. All warfare is based on deception. We made the enemy think we were fighting one kind of war while we were actually fighting another. You deceived the simulation, Professor Kren said. You made it react to fake threats while you attacked real weaknesses. Exactly, Danny said. While the enemy was chasing our small raiding fleets, we were destroying their ability to build new ships, communicate with their forces, and maintain their government. A young Vorthan cadet raised her crystal hand. But why did your tactics work so well? The simulation was designed by experts. That was the problem, Ryan explained. It was designed by experts who all thought the same way. They created an enemy that would fight like they would fight. We fight differently. Captain Jake Morrison stepped forward. May I tell them about Earth? The Admiral nodded. Earth is what we call a death world, Jake began. Most of you come from planets where life is easy. Good weather, gentle animals, stable environments. Earth is not like that. Our planet tried to kill us every day. Karen said, violent storms, dangerous animals, diseases, earthquakes, floods. We had to learn to survive in a world that did not want us to exist. That shaped how we think about conflict, Alex added. We do not fight to prove we are better. We fight to stay alive. And when you are fighting to stay alive, you use every advantage you can find, even unfair advantages? Asked an Ixari cadet. Especially unfair advantages, Danny replied. Fair fights are for sports. War is about survival. Admiral Kethver looked troubled. What does this mean for galactic warfare? If these human tactics spread to other species, war will become much more destructive. Actually, it will become less destructive, Lisa said. Our war lasted 47 minutes. How many people died in those 47 minutes compared to a 10-year war? The computer calculated the numbers. Human campaign, 12,000 casualties. Average 10-year campaign, 50 million casualties. We saved millions of lives by ending the war quickly, Alex said. The most merciful thing you can do in war is win it fast. But what about honor? Asked a Saurian instructor. What about fighting with dignity? There is no honor in a long war, Ryan replied. There is no dignity in letting millions die because you want to fight fair. The most honorable thing we did was end the suffering quickly, Karen added. Commander Vextol nodded slowly. I begin to understand. You did not fight to show your skill. You fought to minimize harm. Yes, Danny said. We fought to win, and we fought to end it fast. Everything else was secondary. A crowd of advanced cadets had gathered around the humans. They were asking questions about specific tactics, trying to understand the human approach to warfare. Will you teach us? Asked a young Saurian. Will you show us how to fight like humans? The 5 humans looked at each other. Finally, Alex spoke. We can teach you our tactics, but we cannot teach you to think like humans. That comes from living on a world that forces you to adapt or die. What makes human tactics special is not the tactics themselves, Lisa explained. It is the willingness to use them. The willingness to break rules when rules do not make sense. Most species fight the way their ancestors fought, Ryan said. We fight the way we need to fight to survive. That is the lesson, Danny concluded. Do not fight the war your enemy expects. Fight the war you need to fight to win. Admiral Kethver stood up. This conversation will continue in the days to come. But for now, I think we all need to process what we have learned. As the crowd began to disperse, Commander Vextal approached the humans one more time. "I have one more question," he said. "When you entered that simulation, did you know you could win so quickly?" Alex smiled. "We knew we could win. We did not know how quickly. But we knew that if we fought our kind of war instead of your kind of war, we would have an advantage." "And what is your kind of war?" Vextal asked. "Total war," Danny replied. "War where everything is a weapon. War where the only rule is to end it as fast as possible. War where survival matters more than honor," Lisa added. "War where the enemy's weaknesses are more important than your own strengths," Ryan said. "War where you fight to win, not to look good while losing," Karen concluded. Commander Vextal nodded. "The galaxy is about to learn what it means to fight alongside humans. I hope we are ready." Captain Jake Morrison watched the alien instructors leave the hall. They were talking quietly among themselves, their voices filled with worry and excitement. "What do you think will happen now?" Danny asked. Jake smiled. "Now the real education begins. You five have just taught the galaxy that there is more than one way to fight a war. Some species will try to copy your tactics. Others will try to defend against them, but they will all have to change. Is that good or bad?" Alex asked. "That depends on who learns faster," Jake replied. "But one thing is certain. The galaxy will never underestimate humanity again." The human cadets looked out through the large windows at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, real enemies might be waiting. Real wars might need to be fought. But now the galaxy knew that Earth had not just produced another species of fighters. They had produced a species that could redefine fighting itself. "What now?" Lisa asked. Jake Morrison looked at the 5 young humans who had just changed galactic warfare forever. "Now you go back to your studies. You learn everything you can about the galaxy and its species. Because something tells me that the real test is still coming. And when it comes?" Ryan asked. "When it comes," Jake said, "you will be ready. Because you are human. And humans do not just fight wars, they end them." The 5 cadets walked out of the academy hall. Behind them, alien instructors and cadets continued to discuss what they had witnessed. The age of civilized warfare was ending. The age of human warfare was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same.